Welcome to our Sophe webinar, Kickstart Your Career Through Sophe Leadership, Part 2. I want to give you all a very warm welcome this afternoon. It is warm here in the nation's capital with a record-breaking over 90 degrees today, so I hope you're having some also great summer weather. My name is Elaine Auld, and as the Chief Executive Officer, I'm really delighted to be here on this important webinar to hopefully give you some highlights and tips and acquaint you more with the various Sophe leadership positions that we have and those that we are going to be taking nominations for in this 2021 cycle. I'll get started with just a few housekeeping tips, and then I want to turn it over to our guest expert speakers today. You will obviously be entered into the meeting with the mute button, but you can unmute yourself. I think we'll have a fairly tight audience today, so we'll be able to participate by either raising your hand, or for those that are on phone only today, you can *6 to mute or unmute and *9 to raise your hand. And for those that are on video, I think many of you have become familiar with some of the great different icons that you have available at the bottom of your Zoom screen to be able to mute or unmute yourself, and also the chat features that we hope you will use throughout this afternoon's presentation. In terms of other housekeeping name, we would want to be on a first name basis with everyone here this afternoon, so please use the Zoom feature to to reveal over the pop-up box, hover over your name and allow the renaming option to appear and let us see who you are as opposed to an institution. And if you'd like closed captioning, we are going to run our closed captioning today, but you have the option to turn that off if it can be sometimes distracting for subtitles running across the screen. And please, again, use the raise hand action and other icons for your engagement this afternoon. And then throughout this afternoon's agenda, we'll have an opportunity for you to get to know some of our current Sophe leaders better. But we hope to, again, have a face-to-face encounter with you, and hope you will keep your videos on throughout this afternoon's presentation. And you do that by, of course, clicking the Start Video at the bottom of your screen. And like all good health educators, we want your feedback. So after today's presentation, both positive, negative, we really hope to hear from you and learn what we can do better to make these future webinars meet your needs and plan future events. Today's webinar is being recorded. We wanted to make sure we would reach as many Sophe members as possible who maybe couldn't be here live with us today. But we will make this available on Sophe's YouTube channel in about 3 or 4 days from now. And with that, I'm really excited to be able to turn it over to our host and moderator for this afternoon's webinar, How You Can Begin Your Leadership Journey with Sophe. It's a pleasure to present and introduce to you our Dr. Antonio Gardner, Sophe's trustee for membership and nominations. And he's going to be going through more detail our agenda and also introducing our other guest speakers this afternoon. Antonio?
Thank you, Elaine. Before we go any further into today's presentation, I would like to inform you that the first presentation, Kickstart Your Career Through Sophe Leadership Part 1, is now available on our Sophe YouTube channel page. So please take a look at that and learn more about what we did in the first session, and if there are any questions that may not be answered in the session, chances are they were answered in the first session. Please scan the QR code on this page to be redirected to that recording, again located on the Sophe YouTube channel. Now let's get into our first polling question of the day. What kind of leadership or prior leadership experience have you had? And I'll give everyone a couple seconds to answer this question, but just chime in as best you see fit. Did you have experience with a Sophe committee or community of practice? Were you part of a Sophe chapter? Are you involved with your university or local community-based organization? Were there other professional groups, or have you had an opportunity to do a little bit of everything? And if none of the above, then say that as well. So we've had 100% participation, and it appears that we have about 21% of you who have been involved with Sophe on a committee or community of practice. Most of you have been involved in other professional groups, and about 36% of you have done all of the above. So you've been involved in Sophe, you've been involved at the chapter level, and you've been involved in some other professional groups. So thank you all for engaging in this poll. And what we'll do is transition to the next poll. And the question is, Antoinette, are you ready? How would you rate your most recent leadership experience? So was it poor, fair, good, excellent, or did it just not apply to you? All right, we have ended the sharing of the poll. So we'll see that most of you had a good experience with your last leadership experience. And we hope that if you pursue leadership opportunities within Sophe, you will have a good to great experience in leadership within Sophe. So what we will do next is we will transition into the agenda for today's meeting. So if you're looking at your screen, you'll see that we will have a review of the Sophe strategic plan with Dr. Deborah Fortune, and we'll talk about the positions that will be listed on the slate for the ballot this year. We will then transition into breakout sessions. We will have 2 breakout sessions where you will get to engage with current or former trustees or officers within Sophe to discuss what their experiences were and some of the challenges and facilitators of being an officer within Sophe. We want you to have the most well-informed, we want you to be the most well-informed individual when you're making your decision about whether you should run for office within Sophe. And then we'll wrap up with the exploratory interest form and talk about the nominations process in between those breakout sessions. What I would like for you all to do, if you can right now, is to utilize the chat to take advantage of letting us know where you would like to be placed in the breakout session. So with these breakouts, we have 4 rooms that will be available. The first room is for president and secretary if that position is of interest to you. The second room is the trustee for students, as well as the trustee for communications. Room 3 is for trustees for the annual meeting, as well as research and ethics. And room 4 is for trustees for professional preparation and membership and leadership. And so what we would like you to do is in the chat, if you can, type in the preferred room for breakout session 1 and your preferred room for breakout session 2. So you can type, for example, breakout 1, room 1, and we will place you in there with the president and secretary. And for maybe that second session, you want to be in breakout 2 with the trustees for professional preparation and membership and leadership. So utilize the chat if you can, and our Sophe staff person, Antoinette Silva, will make sure that by the time we get to the breakout sessions themselves, that you're placed in your preferred rooms. And so we'll pause for a moment so everyone can see the screen. And then as we get more active participation in the chat, we'll transition to the next slide. And so I see in the chat that some of you are saying room 3 and room 4. Please, if you could clarify which session you're referring to. Are you talking about breakout session 1 or breakout session 2, so we can get you into the appropriate room? And then from there, thank you for clarifying. From there, we will transition into the next slide. We don't want to keep you too long with this presentation. So without further ado, I'll introduce Dr. Deborah Fortune. Dr. Deborah Fortune is an associate professor of public health education at North Carolina Central University. She's also the president of Sophe right now for 2021. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Dr. Fortune, who will provide you with some information about our strategic plan. Dr. Fortune, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gardner. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for attending this webinar. I hope it will be very beneficial to you in terms of considering what position that you may run for. Next slide. So I would just a little bit about Sophe, its vision and its mission. As you can see, our vision is a healthy world through education. We just updated our mission statement where we are saying that we are supporting leaders in health education and promotion. But the key thing I want you to notice is that we are trying to advance and promote equity in communities across the globe. And our mission is also undergirded by our values. As you would notice in our values statement, that we do appreciate our members. We want to try to make sure that we are delivering quality products and service. And we try to make sure that we do everything with integrity, teamwork, and collaboration. And again, we do embrace diversity as well as respecting our organization tradition while encouraging innovation. In terms of our strategic plan, we worked very hard this past year to update our plan, and now this is our plan for, from 2021 to 2025. We have 4 strategies. I'm not going to read the goals, and I think you will pick up a common theme through our strategy, and it is around promoting and advancing health equity. As you can notice in our first one, we want to strengthen health education promotion capacity to achieve health equity. And also, we in terms of looking at health education, we place emphasis on pedagogy or what we say like professional preparation, our practice for like people out in the community, so forth, as well as our research. Those 3 areas are very important to Sophe as a professional organization. As well as, again, in strategy 3, you see, again, we're talking about promoting and advocating for health equity among systems as well as in policy. And last but not least, we want to make sure that we support operational excellence to achieve the greatest public health impact possible. And this has to do with the Sophe and how it runs its operational practices. All right. In terms of our organization chart, how we are organized, the overall composition of Sophe's infrastructure, if you will notice here, this is guided by our bylaws, which are on the website. We have 3 main operating units. As you can see, you received our Sophe chapters, what we call the House of Delegates. We also have the Board of Trustees, and we also have the Executive Committee. The Board of Trustees consists of 20 members, which have about half turnover every 2 years, except for the president-elect. The president, that's a 3-year term. You come in as president-elect, then you're president, and then you are, then that person, then you need your past president, as well as the student trustee. The House of Delegates, currently we have 4 elected delegates from the chapters, okay? As you can see, we have a person that's considered the speaker from the House, and then there's a trustee 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4. And when we look at our executive committee, that consists of the current president, the president-elect, the immediate past president, secretary, treasurer, and the speaker of the House that comes from the chapter. The CEO of the organization really functions as a staff of the BOT, of what we call the Board of Trustees. and is ex officio member of both the board and the executive committee. So this is basically our operation chart. Some of the writings you can't see very well because as on the executive committee, there are responsibilities for each person, and I can try to explain. It's like the president is the central office, strategic planning, administration, and also ad hoc committees. President-elect is a liaison to the House of Delegates, as well as chairs the Resource Development Committee. The immediate past president is also co-chairs the Executive Resource Development Committee. And our secretary is, in addition to taking notes and so forth, serve as external communication and also on the bylaws. And our treasurer definitely also works with the Resource Development Committee. Thank you. At this time, I will turn this back over to Dr. Gardner, who will provide you with more information as we get ready to move into our different breakout rooms.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fortune. This year, we will have 8 positions on the ballot for the Sophe membership to vote upon. The positions are president-elect, student trustee, and secretary, along with the trustees for professional preparation, 2023 annual meeting, research and ethics, communications, and membership and nominations. Each position is a 2-year term with the exception of the president-elect position, which is a 3-year term comprised of 1 year as president-elect, 1 year as president, and 1 year as immediate past president, and the student trustee position, which is a 1-year appointment. Detailed position descriptions can be found in the handout section within the Sophe eLearn for this presentation. So please check out the handout section for this presentation within Sophe Core. In the meantime, we would like you to engage in candid discussions with current and former officers in those positions to get an understanding of what it's like to serve in the position of interest to you. So let's get ready for our first breakout session. As a reminder, you were to type in the chat which breakout rooms you would like to enter in each session so we can get you into the room with the officer which you plan to learn more about their position. If you haven't made a selection, please do so now and drop your selections into the chat so we can get you into your preferred room for each breakout. The first room is for the president-elect and secretary positions. The second room is for the student and communications trustee positions. The third room is for the annual meeting and research and ethics trustee positions. And the final room is for the professional preparation and membership and leadership positions. We will spend about 15 minutes in each breakout session. And recall that there will be 2 officers in each room, so questions will be split among the 2 officers. Please be as candid as you would like in asking your questions. Some thoughts for consideration to ask when you are engaging with these officers include the time commitment, the desirable traits of a candidate, the skill set needed for the position, and facilitators and limitations of accomplishing your agenda as an officer. We want you to make the most informed decision about running for Sophe office. So please ask anything of the officers that will help you to make the best decision for you. We should be ready for our first Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the breakout. Now let me provide some brief information about the nominations process before we go to our second breakout. Each year, a nominations committee is convened to prepare a slate for our elections process. This committee is always comprised of a past president, 2 board of trustees members, 2 House of Delegates members, the student trustee, and the trustee for membership and leadership, as well as the CEO of Sophe, who serves as the ex officio member. This committee, once composed, has to be approved by the Board of Trustees to do this work. I am pleased to inform you that the Board of Trustees approved the following to be members of the 2021 Nominations Committee. Thomas Scoffrey, who is the past president. Our Board of Trustees representatives are Bill Potts Statenema and Ashley Parks. Our House of Delegates representatives are Tara Lutz and Michelle Bildner. Our student trustee is Janae Alexander. Of course, I am the trustee for membership and leadership, and we have with us Elaine Auld as our ex officio member and CEO of Sophe. For our nominations process, we want to ensure that we have the most transparent and inclusive process possible. This includes making sure that the officers, membership, and prospective officers are well aware of the nominations process, bringing attention to policies and procedures that are in place to select candidates for positions, and ensuring that the proposed nominees are reflective of the membership body in which they will serve. We're advertising for the positions via our news you can use, news and views, the leadership corner, and through emails, Sophe chapters and other platforms such as Facebook and LinkedIn to get the word out about these positions. Our goals are to have a slate, which is 2 candidates per position according to our constitution and bylaws, prepared for the Sophe membership to vote on this fall. Again, we want our selected candidates to be reflective of the membership of Sophe, in addition to possessing the desired traits and skills of the officer positions on the ballot this fall. The projected timeline for the nominations process is outlined on this slide. As a nominations committee, we want our slate, again, that's 2 candidates per position, prepared by August 15th. We will then follow up with candidates who were selected to be on the slate to confirm that they are still interested in running for office. And if accepted, we will ask them to provide formal statements and photos by August 19th. Once this information is back to the Sophe headquarters, the slate is finalized, and we can proceed with setting up the electronic voting system to disseminate to all national members of Sophe by September 30th. Polls will close by November 30th, assuming that we have a 15% quorum again, according to our constitution and bylaws, and candidates and Sophe members will be notified of the election results. Orientation for those elected officers will begin in December as well. Candidates will officially take the oath of office in March of 2022 when we meet for our annual meeting in St. Louis. Now that we have provided you with information about the nominations process, we will now transition into the breakout rooms for our second breakout session. Our Sophe staff person, Antoinette Silva, is placing you in your rooms now.
Yes, thank you, Antonio. And to some, you chose the same room for breakout 2. So I believe there were 2 people who chose 2 different rooms. So just give me a moment and I will open all rooms. Thank you. All right, enjoy.
Welcome back from your second breakout session. Hopefully you were able to gain better insight on what it takes to serve as an officer within Sophe. In between breakouts, we discussed the nominations process. Now I want you all to have the necessary tool to place your name in the hat to be considered for a Sophe officer position. On this slide, you will find the QR code, which takes you to the exploratory interest form, which is used by the nominations committee to evaluate candidates for Sophe leadership. And so on this form, we capture information about you, including your national Sophe membership status, the position you are interested in running for, your previous and other leadership experience, and your top 3 strengths. New to the exploratory interest form this year are how you would advance Sophe's new strategic plan in this position that you're interested in running for, and a statement on your commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and anti-racism. We acknowledge that some of you may be interested in running for multiple positions. This is not uncommon at all within Sophe. We simply ask that you fill out the exploratory interest form for each position of interest to you. So if you're interested in running for president-elect and secretary, fill out an exploratory interest form catered to the president-elect position and tailor your questions to the president-elect position, and then fill out an exploratory interest form catered to the secretary position. Please be aware that if you run for multiple positions, your name will only appear on the ballot for one position, as the nominations committee has to make a decision on the position in which your strengths best lie based on the information you provided on the exploratory interest form. I will now turn it over to Elaine All for the remainder of this presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Gardner, and thanks to all of you for hanging in with us with these breakouts. I hope you found them, got your questions answered, but if not, we're here for the next couple minutes. I'd love to hear from you. Any other questions? Maybe you didn't get to be in a breakout. And just note today, just because you didn't go into a different breakout room doesn't mean that you can't fill out an exploratory interest form or follow up with Dr. Gardner or myself or any of our nominations committee members that would be able to answer some questions for you. So we hope you have a couple weeks now to noodle it over and think about where your skills and where your interests, primarily passions and interests lie, because I think that will make the position both personally and professionally rewarding for you if your passions and are really aligned with that area that you'd like to run for. So again, you're welcome to put any questions that you have for us in the chat or continue our dialogue after today. I might just go on to our next couple slides since we just have a couple minutes left now. I wanted to also point out that this year we're very excited that Sophe has debuted a new leadership course. This is a leadership course for more mid-career professionals or people that have had several years in terms of their health education career. And we're actually kicking it off tomorrow. So you would be able to participate in our first synchronous session, which is going to be led by Dr. Kirsten Rogers, our 2022 annual meeting trustee and one of the individuals who helped develop the course. And it will have both asynchronous and synchronous components. You'll be able to earn 10 advanced level CECH, and we're really excited. We hope you can be in that inaugural class. And to register, you can just click on the QR code. I want to also say another great way to advance your leadership skills is by submitting a Sophe abstract for a conference. Well, at the Sophe Advocacy Summit has extended its deadline for abstracts until June 25th. And our annual conference for 2022 also has the conference theme open and ready for you to submit an abstract. We hope to hear from students as well as professionals and what expertise you may have to share around accelerating the recovery of communities and health after this pandemic year, and especially address health equity topics that we'd like to hear from you. We have a couple of upcoming webinars in the next several days and through the month of June. We're not going to rest. Summer is a great time to catch up on your continuing education. So please join us tomorrow with aligning your CHES and MCHES exams with the HESPA 2 2020. That's how you'll be learning the tips and tricks to be successful in the exam and some of the changes. And then on Thursday, we have also an Alzheimer's focus. I do want to point out today, the FDA approved the new Alzheimer's drug. So quite exciting and timely for us to have that webinar. We also have journal self-studies. So from the comfort of your home or your beach or your backyard, you can participate in your continuing education and earning CE credits for your certification on all of these 5 different areas. We've had some really exciting articles there that I think are very, very timely in terms of the new HESPA 2020. Also, our on-demand products. Don't forget, we still have the Sophe Advocacy Summit presentations on climate change available for your viewing from last year, and as well as our fantastic annual meeting that was earlier this year in March, where we just had over 300 presentations. And if you're like me, you couldn't get to all of them, and there's some that are really phenomenal that you can get on demand and through bundles through March 2022. And last, but certainly not least, we hope some of you might participate in our Gift to Grad membership campaign. This is a wonderful way to build a profession, and as a leader, a great opportunity to pay it forward. So if you'd like to thank a student for a job well done, or just congratulate even a colleague, you can contact the Sophe office and have a membership donated in that person's name. Or if you just want to help out a student that doesn't have someone looking over their shoulder, you can also be anonymous in that gift as well. I want to thank you all for joining today's presentation. Again, you can go back to webinar 1 we had on kickstarting your career. I know that's the way I kickstarted my career, was to get involved in my professional association, my Sophe chapter, and it's really benefited me throughout my career. And as I like to say with this icon, a former Sophe president always reminded us that, behold the turtle. That turtle always gets ahead when she sticks her neck out. So I hope you can stick your neck out, think about your role in Sophe's next leadership and making us achieve our strategic plan, becoming a more diverse and more equitable health education organization. And that will conclude this afternoon's webinar. Thank you so much, everyone, to our speakers and to you who've taken the time to be with us this afternoon. Have a good rest of the day.